Mark, aside from having to talk to me yet again, how was your day going so far?
Love it, man. We got 75 degrees here where I'm at in Michigan. Sunshine. It's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. Spring has come relatively on time. It's usually freezing this time of year in New York and Michigan. So hopefully we both get outside soon. But let's talk Farner Chords.
All right.
How long was it from going, I want to film this, to having the first video posted?
Actually, maybe 6 weeks. And with the help of Jimmy Romeo, the cinematographer who shot
Sure.
this, when I first told him about what I wanted to do, he really embraced it. He says, I think we can do it and make it really look good. And he was so geeked about it because I told him, I don't want to put this out, in a series where people have to pay for it. I want to give it to people free.
Mm-hmm.
And he so embraced that he pushed everything else aside and said, let's do this. He had a friend come and they was running 2 cameras, one on my right hand, one on my left hand.
Right.
If you're a guitar player, you're going to like seeing both, what both hands are doing. And for the next video after this, it's a keyboard video. So the keyboard players that wanted to learn the real chords to foot stomping, they'll do that, and to creeping. So it's not just guitars, but we really enjoy doing what we're doing. And we shot like 23 songs already.
Wow. Okay. Well, you just made a really good point. When you're showing your right hand on there, most tablature books, most sheet music, no one tells you how to pick, if you have to use a pick, downstrokes versus upstrokes, etc. Was that a happy accident that you knew to include the right hand?
It was right from the get-go. Because people have always said, well, how you do that chunk? Show me how you're doing that chunk. I said, I'm doing it on an up pick. And they're going, oh, no wonder I ain't getting it. Well, so I told Jimmy, I said, I think it's very important that we get, he says, I can either shoot a wide. I said, no, two cameras where people can actually put their concentration onto this screen. The first go through, and then they can put their concentration onto that screen. The
Right.
second go through, for guitar players, it's necessary. And this is really not a beginner's course, or,
Right.
The series is for the people who are already accomplished guitar players. This is just the right chord structures and the right, the things. If they want to play my music, this is how to do it.
Well, your music, and this is intended to be a compliment, it sounds like it's easy to play. It's not easy to play. For example, just because the riff, you can sing it and it's memorable, doesn't mean that there's not a lot of notes going on. So
Yeah.
One question I have is, were you nervous in taping these videos? Because obviously when people are watching you on stage, they're looking at everything but your hands. They're looking at your clothes more than they are your hands. And a lot of people, like myself, have bad fingernails. So they would go like, don't film me up close.
No, I didn't have it. I had fun with it because all the time we're shooting, Darren, they're asking me questions. Well, what about this? What about that? And then some of the answers, were caught on the tape, and he ran them because he thought that was a good analogy of what we were doing, and it went right along with the video explanation and the teaching of it. So that's the way it flowed. It was, and these guys are my friends. It was having a ball.
I'd have to imagine that your guitar endorsements are happy with this, because you're actually showing what gear you use and what brands you use to perform.
Yes, absolutely. And Diodario strings, because I mentioned, I use the EXL 140s, and because they got a light bottom and a heavy top.
Mm-hmm.
Just so my chords, I got the chunk, and the more diameter you can put on that string and get away with playing, the more tone you are going to achieve, because they're magnetic pickups, and the more mass you put, over the top of them, the more they're going to pick up, and that tone becomes very beautiful.
Sure. Diodario, last time I checked, was based here on Long Island, New York. And of course, Grand Funk is forever synonymous with Shea Stadium, which is no longer there, but Citi Field is next door in the parking lot. New York has a lot of ties to you. Did you spend a lot of times here, or is it just coincidental?
No, we did spend a lot of time there, and love the city. Everybody knew that when we played Madison Square Garden, we did it for Phoenix House. We raised enough money to start 7 Phoenix houses in New York City. And that, at the time, that was a big deal. And of course, that was the one concert that Terry Knight tried to confiscate our equipment, and the sheriff showed up with a bunch of attorneys, and then our crew walked up on stage, and these guys are like Vikings,
Right.
and they walk over and they go, what did you say you're going to do? They're looking down at these guys, and these guys say, well, we're going to confiscate the. No, you get your ass off of the stage while you can still walk,
Yeah.
And so they went, oh, okay, guys, okay, we'll go over here. Man, the things that we went through, but it was worth it, because you know what? The Phoenix House were especially for Vietnam veterans that had come home from Vietnam and they were hooked on smack. And a lot of guys, didn't get the help, but the ones who went through Phoenix House got the help, and they got right. And so proud to be a part of that.
A friend of mine who co-managed Aerosmith and AC/DC, David Krebs, he always says this thing to me. He says, you play Madison Square Garden once, you sell it out, and you never play there again. But either way, you're back in New York later this month. You're playing in Staten Island. You're playing Long Island and Westbury. When you do the New York dates, is it the same as the other road dates, or do you go, this is the restaurant and we're going to Central Park?
Yeah, we definitely have our favorites. And when we play, Westbury, we've been doing that gig for a long time. We know the people there. We know the food is gonna be killer. They never skimp on the desserts. And my drummer, he's like, that's his thing. He lives for dessert.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Well, here's a curiosity I have. So I obviously am a big Grand Funk fan, and I enjoy your solo career as well. But I find that Grand Funk is to Michigan as Billy Joel is to Long Island, where when you talk to somebody from, say, Arizona, they go, yeah, Billy Joel, he was pretty big. He had 6-7 hits. And you go, no, Billy Joel had 40 hits. And then Grand Funk and Seeger, the kings of Michigan, they are the stadium bands that are the legacy of that region. Am I insane for calling you the Billy Joel of Michigan?
No, absolutely not. A very good comparison. And the Michigan fans would shake your hand, brother, and say thank you for recognizing our bands.
Yeah, so it's great to hear that the music is still on the radio nonstop, even though the legacy management by certain parties kind of prevent that from happening and whitewash history.
Yeah.
On a brighter note, what's coming up for you besides Farner Chords? You seem to have 2-3 gigs a month coming up. Are there any big tours, or are you more focused on one-offs and just recording when you feel like it?
Yeah, we're doing the one-offs, and I'm working with Mark Slaughter.
Oh,
yeah, man. On this album that we're going to put out I'm a songwriter, and I wrote these songs. If I didn't think it was great, I wouldn't, I probably wouldn't be writing ahead. So I'm just confessing, without too much, embellishment on it. These songs rock, dude. I love Slaughter. Him and I played on Howard Stern. We did David Fishoff's Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and the band was Sandy Gennaro from Joan Jett, the drummer, Kip Winger on bass, Bruce Kulick on acoustic guitar, Teddy Zigzag from Guns N' Roses on keyboards, Slaughter, and myself. And Slaughter's about maybe 3 feet away from me singing. And I take my cans off because we're already into the song. But I couldn't hear everybody. So I take the cans off real quick, and then I can hear. And now I'm singing. And now here comes the bridge. Am I in my cabin dreaming? And here's Slaughter. He's up there hitting the second harmony, and it's pure. It is on the money. And he's playing along. And I just, that was the first time I'd really met him, to have any kind of interaction with him. And we just hit it off so great. He's part Native American too. So our blood runs in the same direction, and our thoughts, and we like to give it all to love, because there ain't a damn thing else in the world that's worth doing anything for if you can't do it for love, man. And so that we got a lot of love in these grooves coming up. It's going to be a vinyl as well as a CD. And the first one out of the gate is Same Game. And buddy, strap yourself in.
Well, so is it going to be called Mark Farner and Mark Slaughter, or is it,
No,
how do you call it because obviously he sold a lot of records too. So
yes. He just wants the credit of, being the producer. He said, really, that's all I really want. Even though we share a right credit on one song, definitely he gets that. But this is all my thoughts and some things that have come down in the past couple of years with the COVID bullshit. It gave us some time to do some things and do some thinking, and just how we're going to address rock and roll and how we're going to keep it alive, because they're trying to kill it. Lamestream, the program directors who, they program for 5,000 different stations. They don't have a clue what the local likes in music is here in Michigan. And so that went out with the deregulation of the FCC, as you know, back in '96. They deregulated, and people seem to have lost their way. They lost their voice. But really, we are still a community. I find that every time we play out. I talk to my brothers and sisters. I get a lot of agreement, and we somehow are able to put all the horse shit aside and just do the music and exchange energy. The audience and the band, we play off each other, we feed one another, and we love together. It's our community.
Well, if I can say what you said in about 20 words, Ted Nugent and Tom Morello are close friends. Obviously, it's music that brings them together, and they don't talk about the things that they disagree about politically or socially. And you could be friends with people who have different opinions.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's great to hear that you have that positive disposition. You're steadily working. When you're not doing the music thing, where does your free time usually go? That's not a thing that we know a lot about, Mark. And I don't know if that's by design.
Well, this winter I did a lot of ice fishing. I love to fish. Ice fishing's great. I'm in a coop. They call it a coop.
Sure.
It's a shanty. It's all built into a sled that you pull out. I have a snow dog. You have to look that up on YouTube. It's like a snowmobile that has handles on it. You don't set on it. You steer it like they do a lawnmower, and it pulls whatever you put behind it. So I'm in the sled with the auger and with the shovel and some of the equipment that I'm used, and then behind that I'm pulling my coupe, and that's got the tent that folds over the holes, and you have a little one burner stove in there. You turn that thing on and you're right down to shirt sleeves in sub-zero. You're in there fishing. It's all you're hearing is the flame once in a while from that burner coming on, and you're anticipating that catch. Man, I caught walleye this winter. Oh, some of the best eaten, and perch. And my wife and I, we were in the coop. She's sitting right alongside of me, and this big gust of wind came up, and the whole damn thing kind of came up in the air, and it was going to come over. I said, put your feet inside, because you sat with your feet on the ice, and your legs and your, that weight is on the ice. But that wind was so strong. As soon as it was over, I said, okay, time to go.
We don't have those in this beach town, but now I know if I go to Michigan, I'm looking for some snow dogs.
Yeah, dude.
Well, my last question for you, the last time I had the pleasure of speaking to you, I made a random reference to the Chic, and you went, oh yeah, that's my wife's family, the Farhats and all that. And you go, okay. So Mark knows stuff, and he's been around, and he knows everybody. I'm curious if you had any run-ins with Van Halen over the years, because I thought that in the early days of Van Halen, when they were doing covers, I thought they did a Grand Funk cover or two in their set.
Yes, they used to do American Band, and I can't remember what else. I think they did. Somebody told me they heard them do Foot Stomping or something. I think I can't remember the other one, but I know they did American Band for a while. But yes, I ran into them, and I was at the Greek Theater, and who's the bass player?
Michael Anthony?
Yes, he shows up. Michael shows up, and he says, Eddie, his wife is sick and he couldn't make it, but man, he really wanted to talk to you. Is it okay if I call him and just hand you the phone? I said, hell yeah, man. So I'm talking with Eddie, and he's thanking me for all of the lessons that he got from me over the years, and especially from doing the Forum in LA, where they would come, and that audience at the Forum was raucous, man. I'm telling you, what a great memory all those gigs that we did at the Forum were. And so just nothing but great conversation, compliments, and love going back and forth, and I really like the song Jump, that that he did that on the keyboards, and us guitar players do keyboard a little differently than keyboard players.
Right. Well,
So,
what I just learned is Eddie Van Halen was the original user of Farner Chords.
well,
think about it. What you just told me, he
yeah.
was watching your fingers as you played at the Forum to learn those songs and took that away. So there you go. So
yeah.
Mark, I love the music. I'm looking forward to the gig in Westbury, Long Island in the very near future. And thank you for being you, and looking forward to further episodes of Farner Chords.
Thank you, brother Darren. I appreciate it so much. Appreciate my time with you today.
Paltrocast.